Every goal you set for yourself carries a question: how badly do you want it? Not in a casual, fleeting way, but deep in your core. The moment you truly understand why you want something, your mind begins to align with that purpose. Without a clear reason, goals are like a ship without a compass, drifting wherever the waves take it. Your why becomes your fuel, the thing that drives you when every excuse in the world tries to stop you. Once your why is clear, the next step is to break down your goal into tangible daily actions. Nobody achieves massive success overnight. It's the small, consistent steps that compound into extraordinary results. Write down what you need to do each day and commit to doing it even when it feels insignificant. These habits build momentum, and momentum creates belief. You begin to trust yourself because you know that every day you are moving closer to what you want. Motivation alone is not enough. It comes and goes like the weather, unpredictable and unreliable. Discipline, on the other hand, is something you can control. Create routines, stick to them, and train yourself to follow through even when your emotions resist. When you prioritize discipline over waiting to feel motivated, you remove the dependency on fleeting feelings. You force yourself forward, step by step, action by action. Resistance is inevitable. There will be days when your body protests, when your mind doubts, when the world seems to conspire against you. And this is where most people quit. They don't realize that discomfort is a signal of growth. Embrace it, lean into it. The struggle is not a barrier, it is the proving ground where your determination is forged. By anticipating resistance and stepping into it rather than away from it, you make yourself unstoppable. Finally, you must measure, reflect, and adjust. Goals are rarely achieved through a straight path. Failures and setbacks are not signs that you should give up, they are feedback. Track your progress meticulously, celebrate small wins, analyze what's not working, and make adjustments without hesitation. The combination of reflection and adaptation ensures that your efforts are always aligned with your goal, even when circumstances change. If you integrate these steps, knowing your why, building daily habits, prioritizing discipline, embracing discomfort, and relentlessly measuring your progress, you are no longer leaving your success to chance. You are forcing it into reality. You are taking control of your actions, your focus, and ultimately your life. And that is how any goal, no matter how daunting, becomes achievable. 5 keynotes of the speech. How to force yourself to achieve any goal. Start with why you truly want it. Understanding the deep reason behind your goal fuels the persistence needed to push through obstacles. Break goals into daily habits. Large ambitions are achieved by consistent, small actions that build momentum over time. Leverage discipline over motivation. Motivation is fleeting. Relying on discipline and routines ensures progress even when you don't feel like it. Anticipate resistance and embrace discomfort. Expect challenges and use them as opportunities to strengthen your resolve. Measure, reflect, and adjust relentlessly. Continuously track your progress. Reflect on failures and adapt your approach without losing sight of the end goal. Before you can force yourself to achieve any goal, you must first understand why that goal matters to you. Not the superficial reasons, not the reasons that sound good to others, but the deep, personal, undeniable reason that burns inside you. Every human being has an internal compass, a driving force that determines their actions, their focus, and ultimately their results. If you do not know what that compass is, if you cannot answer the question of why you are pursuing a goal with clarity and conviction, then no amount of effort, strategy, or planning will carry you forward consistently. Your why is the anchor in a world full of distractions, the fuel that keeps the engine running when everything else fails. Without it, you are simply drifting, reacting to circumstances rather than intentionally shaping your life. Understanding your why requires honesty. You cannot borrow someone else's reason for success or adopt a goal because it seems impressive to the outside world. Goals that come from outside influence, from society, from friends or family have no staying power. They do not inspire the internal fire needed to overcome obstacles. Your why must resonate with your core values, your beliefs, and your personal vision of the life you want to live. Ask yourself the difficult questions. Why do I want this goal? What am I hoping to feel, to experience, or to prove to myself? How will achieving this change my life or the lives of those I care about? When you can answer these questions in a way that excites you, you are no longer chasing a vague aspiration. You are pursuing a purpose. And purpose is magnetic. It attracts energy, focus, and action because it aligns with something deep within you. Once you have identified your why, something remarkable happens. You start to notice the difference between temporary obstacles and true challenges worth facing. When you know why a goal matters, setbacks no longer feel like reasons to quit. Instead, they become tests of your commitment. Every difficult moment, every inconvenience, and every failure is filtered through the lens of your why. You ask yourself, does this matter enough for me to keep going? And when the answer is yes, your actions gain momentum that is difficult, if not impossible, to stop. This momentum is not born out of discipline alone, and it is certainly not born out of fleeting motivation. It is born out of purpose. Motivation fluctuates, discipline can be forgotten, but purpose, your why, is a constant source of power. It is also important to recognize that your why is not a vague feeling. It must be vivid, detailed, and emotionally compelling. Think beyond, I want to be successful, or I want to make money. Those are outcomes, not reasons. Ask yourself how achieving your goal will feel. Imagine the pride you will experience, the freedom you will gain, the influence you will have, and the life you will create. Paint the picture so clearly that your mind cannot escape it. The more tangible and emotional your why, the stronger it becomes. It becomes something you can hold on to in moments of doubt, something you can visualize every morning before you begin your day, something that reminds you that your goal is not optional. It is essential. Your why also becomes the lens through which you make decisions. Every choice you face, how you spend your time, where you allocate your energy, who you allow into your life, should be filtered through this purpose. When your why is clear, distractions lose their power. Opportunities that do not align with your ultimate goal become easier to ignore. People who do not support your journey no longer deter you. Every action, every habit, and every decision becomes intentional rather than reactive. And this intentionality is what separates those who achieve their goals from those who simply dream about them. Finally, understanding your why prepares you for the long road ahead. Any goal worth achieving will require effort, consistency, and persistence over time. There will be moments when you feel exhausted, demotivated, or uncertain. In those moments, your why becomes your lifeline. It reminds you why you started, why the struggle is worth it, and why giving up is not an option. It fuels resilience, sharpens focus, and keeps you moving forward even when progress seems invisible. In essence, your why is not just the reason you pursue a goal, it is the engine that drives every action, the anchor that keeps you grounded, and the light that guides you through the darkest moments of the journey. Once you understand why a goal matters to you, the next critical step is to transform that goal from a distant idea into a series of daily actions. Goals, by themselves, are abstract. They exist in your mind as something to be achieved in the future, often far away and uncertain. When you rely solely on the notion of someday or eventually, it is easy to procrastinate, to get distracted, or to feel overwhelmed. But the truth is that no ambitious goal is achieved in a single leap. Success is not a sudden stroke of luck. It is the result of consistent, small, intentional actions that compound over time. Breaking a goal into daily habits is the bridge between intention and achievement. It is the practical pathway that turns dreams into reality. Daily habits create momentum. Momentum is powerful because it reduces the need for constant willpower. When you commit to a habit, it becomes automatic over time, part of your routine, and no longer reliant on fluctuating motivation. For example, if your goal is to write a book, focusing on writing 1 page per day may seem trivial, but over months, it becomes hundreds of pages completed. If your goal is to get in better shape, committing to a 15-minute workout each morning may seem small, yet over weeks, your strength and endurance grow dramatically. Habits are the building blocks of progress, and by focusing on consistent daily actions, you create a structure that makes achievement inevitable. Another important aspect of breaking goals into habits is clarity. Large goals can be intimidating because they often feel vague or unmanageable. The mind can easily become paralyzed when it tries to process the enormity of what needs to be done. By breaking the goal down into smaller, actionable steps, you remove this mental barrier. Each day, you focus on what is immediately achievable rather than the entirety of the mountain you must climb. These small steps are measurable, and measurement is critical because it allows you to track progress and build confidence. Each completed habit is a victory, a confirmation that you are moving in the right direction, and it reinforces the belief that your goal is attainable. Consistency is key. Habits only work when they are repeated over time. It is not the occasional burst of effort that leads to success, but the unwavering commitment to show up day after day. This is where most people struggle. They start strong, fueled by excitement, but as the initial enthusiasm fades, they falter. Habits create a safeguard against this cycle because they rely on systems, not emotions. By embedding your actions into routines, you reduce the friction of decision-making and remove the reliance on willpower alone. The more consistent you are, the less energy is spent resisting procrastination and the more energy is available for productive work. Breaking goals into habits also allows for flexibility and adaptation. Life is unpredictable, and challenges will arise. When you have a habit-based approach, you can adjust the specific actions without abandoning the overall trajectory. Missing a single day or encountering an obstacle does not derail the entire goal. Instead, you return to your habit the next day, maintaining forward momentum. This approach builds resilience because it emphasizes persistence over perfection. You learn to focus on progress, not on occasional setbacks, and this mindset prevents discouragement from halting your journey. Moreover, daily habits create a feedback loop that reinforces improvement. Each day, you see tangible evidence of your effort, whether it is a completed workout, a written page, a new skill practiced, or a task checked off your list. This feedback strengthens motivation and commitment because you can see the connection between your actions and the results they produce. Small successes accumulate, confidence grows, and the seemingly impossible goal starts to feel achievable. The repetition of intentional actions transforms behavior, strengthens discipline, and rewires the brain to recognize consistent effort as normal and necessary. Finally, the act of focusing on daily habits shifts your attention from outcome to process. Goals can feel overwhelming when all you see is the endpoint, but habits allow you to immerse yourself in the journey. When you focus on what you can do today, you remove anxiety about the distant future and gain control over your present actions. The compound effect of these small actions multiplied by time inevitably leads to significant results. Habits are the secret engine behind every achievement, turning lofty aspirations into practical, manageable steps that guide you steadily toward your ultimate objective. When it comes to achieving any goal, relying on motivation alone is a trap. Motivation is unpredictable. It rises and falls with your mood, your energy, and your circumstances. Some days you wake up feeling unstoppable, ready to conquer the world. Other days, even the simplest task feels exhausting. If you leave your success to the whim of motivation, progress becomes inconsistent and your goals remain distant dreams rather than achievable realities. Discipline, on the other hand, is something you can control. It is a skill, a habit, and a mindset that allows you to take action even when you don't feel like it. Leveraging discipline over motivation is what separates those who merely aspire from those who actually achieve. Discipline is about creating structure and following through, regardless of how you feel in the moment. It is the internal commitment to act consistently, day after day, even when the initial excitement has faded. When you cultivate discipline, you build an unshakable reliability in yourself. Others may not understand why you persist, but the consistent effort compounds over time, and the results speak for themselves. Discipline eliminates the dependency on external factors. You no longer need perfect conditions, inspiration, or a sudden surge of enthusiasm. You simply follow the systems and routines you have established, and these systems carry you forward. Developing discipline starts with small, intentional choices. You cannot expect to wake up one day and suddenly have perfect self-control in every area of life. Instead, discipline is trained through repetition. You start with manageable commitments, like dedicating a fixed amount of time each day to your goal, following through even when it is inconvenient, and resisting distractions that pull you off course. Each successful act strengthens your ability to act consistently in the future. Over time, this builds a mental resilience that allows you to persist through difficulties, fatigue, and resistance. Discipline is a muscle, and like any muscle, it grows stronger the more you exercise it. One of the most powerful aspects of discipline is that it turns action into habit. Motivation is emotional, it fluctuates and fades. Discipline, however, is structural. When you design your life around disciplined routines, your actions no longer require constant decision-making or willpower. You build patterns that the brain accepts as normal, reducing friction and increasing efficiency. For example, someone who has disciplined themselves to exercise at the same time every morning will eventually do it automatically. The act is no longer reliant on feeling motivated. It is simply what they do. By leaning on discipline rather than waiting for motivation, you create momentum that is resistant to setbacks and temporary emotional states. Discipline also forces you to act in spite of discomfort. Motivation encourages action only when it feels good, when inspiration strikes, or when results are immediately visible. Discipline pushes you to do what is necessary even when it is uncomfortable, boring, or challenging. This is essential because every significant goal involves periods of difficulty. Discipline teaches you to prioritize long-term results over short-term comfort, allowing you to keep moving forward even when the process feels tedious. It is the consistent, sometimes tedious effort that separates those who achieve their goals from those who give up prematurely. Another key benefit of leveraging discipline over motivation is that it builds self-trust. Each time you follow through despite resistance, you prove to yourself that you are reliable, capable, and in control of your actions. This trust is invaluable because it reduces hesitation, excuses, and self-doubt. You no longer wait for motivation to appear. You know that regardless of your feelings, you will take action. This creates a sense of personal power and accountability that cannot be shaken by temporary emotions or external circumstances. Discipline also creates compounding results. Each day you act intentionally, your progress builds on the previous day's effort. Motivation may get you started, but it cannot sustain continuous growth over time. Discipline ensures that no matter how small the action may seem in the moment, it contributes to a larger trajectory. The small wins achieved through disciplined action accumulate, eventually producing outcomes far beyond what could be achieved through sporadic bursts of motivation alone. Finally, understanding the role of discipline allows you to design your environment to support it. Motivation often fails because your surroundings are full of distractions, temptations, or competing priorities. Discipline thrives when you create routines, remove unnecessary friction, and make the right actions easy to follow. By combining internal resolve with intentional environmental design, you create a system that consistently drives progress regardless of how you feel in any given moment. Discipline, therefore, is not just a mindset, it is the engine that ensures your goals are pursued relentlessly, even in the absence of motivation. No goal worth achieving comes without resistance. The path to success is never smooth, and anyone who tells you otherwise is ignoring a fundamental truth. Challenge is inevitable. Obstacles, setbacks, criticism, and moments of self-doubt are not exceptions. They are part of the process. Anticipating resistance is essential if you want to force yourself to achieve your goals. When you expect it, you are prepared mentally and emotionally to handle it. Resistance is not something to fear or avoid. It is a signal that you are pushing beyond your comfort zone, stretching your capabilities, and growing into the person capable of achieving your objective. The sooner you recognize this, the sooner you can stop reacting to resistance and start using it as fuel. Discomfort is another essential element of progress. The human brain is wired to seek safety, predictability, and ease. Anything that challenges those instincts feels unpleasant, and the natural reaction is to retreat, procrastinate, or abandon the effort. But growth does not occur within the comfort zone. Every meaningful achievement requires that you step into discomfort repeatedly. This discomfort might come in the form of physical fatigue, emotional strain, social pressure, or mental challenge. Learning to tolerate it, even embrace it, is what separates those who succeed from those who quit. When you view discomfort as an indicator of progress rather than a threat, you transform it from an obstacle into a tool. Anticipating resistance also means identifying potential barriers before they arise. Every goal involves external and internal challenges. External resistance might include limited resources, unsupportive people, or logistical difficulties. Internal resistance often manifests as fear, self-doubt, procrastination, or a desire to avoid effort. By mapping out these challenges in advance, you reduce the element of surprise, you prepare strategies for dealing with setbacks, create contingency plans, and build resilience. When resistance appears, instead of panicking or feeling defeated, you respond proactively, armed with the knowledge that difficulties are part of the process, not a sign of failure. The mindset of embracing discomfort is crucial because it allows you to reframe challenges. Instead of viewing difficulties as interruptions or punishment, you begin to see them as necessary training. Every uncomfortable situation, every obstacle, every failure is a learning opportunity. It tests your commitment, strengthens your resolve, and teaches you lessons that cannot be learned any other way. When you shift your perspective in this way, resistance becomes less intimidating and more meaningful. You stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and start asking, "What can I learn from this, and how can I use it to move forward?" Another aspect of embracing discomfort is developing mental toughness. Discipline alone is not enough. There will be moments when the effort required seems overwhelming. Mental toughness is the ability to push forward despite fear, frustration, or fatigue. It is cultivated by consistently confronting challenges, by refusing to retreat in the face of difficulty, and by taking action even when every instinct tells you to stop. Each time you choose to continue despite discomfort, your resilience grows stronger and your capacity to achieve more ambitious goals expands. Anticipating resistance also helps you manage expectations. Many people fail because they expect smooth progress and feel discouraged when it doesn't happen. By accepting in advance that resistance is inevitable, you reduce frustration and disappointment. You understand that slow progress, setbacks, and periods of struggle are not signs of inadequacy, but natural parts of the journey. This mindset keeps you engaged and persistent, even when immediate results are not visible, and prevents temporary obstacles from derailing your long-term commitment. Moreover, embracing discomfort teaches patience and humility. Goals that are easy to achieve rarely produce significant growth or lasting satisfaction. When you willingly enter challenging situations, you learn to tolerate uncertainty, manage frustration, and persevere without immediate reward. This process strengthens character, sharpens judgment, and builds confidence that you can handle even greater challenges in the future. Discomfort becomes not something to avoid, but something you actively seek in pursuit of improvement and mastery. Ultimately, the combination of anticipating resistance and embracing discomfort transforms the way you approach goals. You stop avoiding challenges, you stop fearing setbacks, and you stop letting temporary pain dictate your actions. Instead, you act deliberately, knowing that each challenge is an opportunity to grow stronger, more capable, and closer to achieving your objectives. Resistance and discomfort become allies rather than enemies, essential components of the process that ensure that when you finally reach your goal, it is truly earned and deeply transformative. No matter how much effort, discipline, and persistence you apply, progress toward a goal is meaningless if it is not measured and evaluated. Achieving any meaningful objective requires more than blind action. It demands awareness of where you stand, what is working, and what needs improvement. Measuring your progress is not about obsessing over numbers or perfection. It is about creating a clear picture of reality so that every decision you make is informed, intentional, and effective. Without measurement, it is impossible to know whether your actions are moving you closer to your goal or simply keeping you busy. Reflection is the next critical step. Taking the time to review your actions, your habits, and the results you are producing allows you to gain insights that are often invisible in the day-to-day grind. Many people act constantly yet make little meaningful progress because they never pause to analyze whether their efforts are aligned with their objectives. Reflection allows you to identify patterns, strengths, weaknesses, and opportunities. It gives you the clarity to recognize what is driving results and what is holding you back. It also cultivates self-awareness, which is essential because the more aware you are of your actions and their consequences, the better you can adjust to optimize outcomes. Adjustment is the final, indispensable element. No plan survives unchanged once you engage with reality. Unexpected obstacles, new opportunities, and changing circumstances demand flexibility. Relentless adjustment does not mean abandoning your goal at the first sign of difficulty. It means modifying your approach to ensure that your actions remain effective. It is the ability to pivot intelligently while maintaining alignment with your ultimate objective. By measuring, reflecting, and adjusting continuously, you create a dynamic system in which your efforts are always improving, always evolving, and always moving you forward. This process also builds resilience and prevents stagnation. When you evaluate results honestly, you develop the ability to confront failures without fear or defensiveness. You learn to see setbacks not as threats to your success, but as feedback on how to improve. This mindset reduces frustration, strengthens problem-solving skills, and reinforces the understanding that progress is rarely linear. By actively adjusting your approach, you avoid repeating mistakes and optimize every opportunity for growth, ensuring that your effort is consistently efficient and productive. Measuring progress provides tangible motivation. When you track actions, milestones, and outcomes, you see evidence of your effort, which reinforces belief in yourself and your capability. Small wins recorded and acknowledged become proof that consistent action matters. Reflection allows you to contextualize these wins, understanding what habits, choices, or strategies produced results. Adjustment ensures that your next steps are smarter, more informed, and more likely to produce even better outcomes. This cycle creates compounding growth, where each iteration builds on the last, moving you closer to your goal at an accelerating pace. Moreover, measuring, reflecting, and adjusting cultivates accountability. When you hold yourself responsible for your results, you remove excuses and externalize responsibility. You stop blaming circumstances or other people for slow progress and take ownership of your journey. This internal accountability is empowering because it shifts control from external factors to your own actions. By continuously evaluating your performance and making deliberate changes, you reinforce the understanding that success is not a matter of luck or chance, it's a direct result of informed, intentional, and consistent effort. Another crucial aspect of this process is the cultivation of clarity. When you measure, reflect, and adjust, you eliminate guesswork. Each decision becomes data-driven and precise. You know which actions produce results, which habits accelerate progress, and which behaviors hinder success. This clarity prevents wasted energy and allows you to focus on high-leverage actions that yield the greatest impact. It transforms overwhelming goals into actionable, manageable steps and creates confidence that each effort contributes meaningfully to your larger objective. Finally, the relentless pursuit of improvement through measurement, reflection, and adjustment fosters growth beyond the immediate goal. By developing the habit of critically analyzing your performance and refining your approach, you strengthen problem-solving skills, strategic thinking, and adaptability. You become someone who's not only capable of achieving a single goal, but is prepared to tackle increasingly ambitious objectives throughout life. The process itself becomes a skill set, a mindset, and a lifestyle that empowers you to achieve consistently, overcome challenges efficiently, and maximize your potential. When we look at the journey toward achieving any goal, it becomes clear that success is not an accident. It is intentional, deliberate, and relentless. It begins with knowing your why, understanding the deep reason that drives you forward even when the path is difficult. That purpose becomes the engine that powers every action. From there, progress comes from breaking your goal into daily habits, focusing on consistent, small steps that compound over time. These habits build momentum and turn effort into results. Motivation may come and go, but discipline ensures you continue regardless of how you feel. Discipline transforms intention into action and makes your progress independent of fleeting emotions. Along the way, resistance and discomfort will inevitably appear. But when you anticipate challenges and lean into the discomfort, these obstacles become opportunities to grow stronger, sharper, and more resilient. They are not signs to quit, they are proof that you are moving in the right direction. And finally, the path requires constant measurement, reflection, and adjustment. Progress is rarely linear, and every setback carries a lesson. By assessing your actions, learning from your experiences, and adapting intelligently, you ensure that each step brings you closer to your goal. This process, driven by purpose, sustained by discipline, sharpened by challenges, and refined through reflection, is what transforms ordinary effort into extraordinary achievement. The truth is that achieving any goal is not about luck, talent, or waiting for the perfect moment. It is about choosing to take control, committing fully, and showing up every day with intentionality and resilience. When you combine these principles, you no longer leave success to chance, you force it into reality. Every small action, every disciplined choice, every challenge embraced, and every adjustment made compounds into the life you imagine. Success is not a distant dream, it is the result of deliberate, consistent, and courageous effort.